Hello, hello, gorgeous ones. Welcome back to the Unstoppable You podcast. I'm Evie, your host, life and confidence coach and business mentor. And we're back. We're back for another juicy episode of 2025. Welcome back to the podcast team. It's so good to be here with you all. Now, first things first. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I hope the sun is shining where you are or it's about to shine. And yeah, I hope you're feeling really good. I've got a really great conversation for us today. I have written very minimal notes. We've got a title and a quote for today, but that's about it. So it's just like a full riff of Evie's brain, some coaching, some inspiration, and yeah, hopefully some love, but some hard truths and yeah, some inspiration and support for you today. So I hope this is really supportive for you. Now, the other thing I also wanted to share is that I have a few spots available for one-to-one coaching at the moment. So that could be either one-to-one life coaching or one-to-one business coaching, and would love to support you with your beautiful goals and dreams and intentions for this year. So if this sounds like you and you're keen to book yourself a free call over Zoom, and yeah, I can't wait to chat and support you further. We'll link all of that in the show notes or the description below for you. So welcome back, team. Today's quote. Are you excited for today's quote? I'm excited for today's quote. Now, this one came through Momentum again. This is the screensaver background homepage for my Google Chrome. And every day there's a mantra and there's a quote. And I love these quotes. And today, again, is so fitting. I was thinking about this podcast episode and what I wanted to talk about. And of course, I wanted to talk about worthiness and really feeling wildly worthy in yourself to go after the things that you really want to this year, to make those things happen. So there's lots that we're going to cover today, but essentially a whole lot of this is about worthiness. And so yeah, if worthiness is your thing and you want to learn more, or you feel like you're holding yourself back from the goals and dreams and intentions that you have for yourself this year, maybe there's some mindset wobbles that come up or some fear and some doubt for you, this is your episode. Save this one, come back to this one, and would love for you to share it on your socials. Just tag me in your Instagram stories, on TikTok, whatever it is that you love to use, whatever platform, or share it with a friend and a loved one who you know needs to hear this conversation. That would be so wonderful. I would be so appreciative. That would be amazing. Okay, so anyway, the quote that came up was so fitting for today's conversation. So this is the quote. I wrote it down. Too many people overvalue what they are not, and they undervalue what they are. Isn't that interesting? I'm going to share that one again. Too many people overvalue what they are not, and they undervalue what they are. I think that's so true. I really do. For so many of us humans, but especially us high achievers and go-getters and people who give a shit, I want to say, and are really passionate and want to do well and achieve and be serving and supporting people and to be showing up as an amazing human in the world. Like you care, right? And if that's you, I love you. I'm one of those people too. And you're so seen and welcomed here. But I think one of the downsides is that we can often be really critical of ourselves, and we can have a number of different things that might take away from our feelings of worthiness. And I think this is so true in that our minds tend to look for the faults or look for what we are not, or where we're need to grow or improve on, or we're comparing to someone else and someone else's situation, and therefore we feel inferior or less worthy because of that. And that's a false assumption. That's not true. And and you'll know this if you've been around the podcast for a while, our minds are so primitive, and it's really going back to basics of survival mode. Your mind is driven for survival. So we will always be looking for the negative or the threat, or where we need to improve or whatever it might be to keep us safe and keep us alive. Yeah, that's so helpful from time to time. But in today's day and age, that is not so helpful. And sometimes that can run the show. Your inner critic, the fear-based voice, the ego, whatever you want to call it there, can ultimately, it augments. It makes it highlight and makes it, it's more aware, more acutely aware. So our reticular activating system, a part of in our brain, will always be on alert for that thing that we're looking for. Just explaining the reticular activating system a wee bit more here. I learned this back in neuroscience in physio school. one of my favorite papers. Anyway, the reticular activating system is so an example of this is when you're buying a car, for example, and you're like, I want that red car or this particular make of a car. And then from then on, because you've decided it and it's become a part of your awareness, then we are always searching for that. And you'll be so surprised that you'll always see that model or you'll always see that red car that you really want, right? And it's because we've brought it to our awareness. And the other thing that goes in hand with this is where our focus goes, energy flows. And so if we're always looking for, and like that quote says, overvaluing what we are not, i.e. looking for the negatives or the gaps or the things that we need to improve on, that alarm system is like, oh, I'm always seeing those things. However, we're significantly undervaluing, not seeing the value and worthiness in who we actually are and what are the gifts and skills and talents that we have. And do you know what? Someone reflected this back to me recently, and it was one of those, like, I know this to be true, of course, but it was really beautiful for me to experience it because I do this for clients all the time, but it was really wonderful for me to have that experience as a client myself and working with this new coach. And she shared some beautiful words with me, really around what she sees my gifts are, specifically in my work and specifically in my business and things like that. But also these are gifts about, me as a human, because I am the business, etc. Anyway, and it was just so wonderful to receive that. And I knew those to be true. However, having that reflected back, and especially from someone who doesn't know me that well, and hasn't been around my business and my world for all that long, it's really fascinating to hear those things because like I know deep down that they're true and I can see that. However, I think we forget about our magic. We forget about our gifts and we forget about the value that we have because, like I said, it's going back to overvaluing or searching for the negative thing, overvaluing what we're not or what's missing or what's lacking instead of what we do have. And so I think this is a really great quote, and something that I really wanted to speak on today is like, how do we start to feel more worthy? How do we start to feel more and see and own the value that we have as humans? And if you've got your own business, also seeing the value that you have for your clients and in your business as well. And we all have a unique set of skills and talents and gifts that only we have. And sure, there might be some overlap and similarities, but there's uniqueness to that. And there's so much authenticity to that. And I think what's really lacking, and especially in the last few years, what I've seen in the online space, what I've seen in clients in the life coaching space and in the business coaching space, is that we've forgotten some of our authentic magic and seeing the value that we have. And business has been tough recently. We've had some really tough personal years, I think, for many of us in lots of different ways, through the last sort of 4 or 5 years-ish. Feels like a long time now, actually, when I say that out loud, although it feels like no time at all in the same breath, but you know what I mean. So I think for a number of different reasons, we've forgotten our magic and how truly powerful and magnificent and incredible we truly are. And we've forgotten our unique gifts and our strengths and what we bring to the table. And I think when we're looking outside of ourselves for external validation, for comparing to other people on social media or in the workplace or in the business realm or other mums or whatever it might be, when we compare, it is honestly, I think it's one of our biggest traps as humans, is that we compare ourselves, but it's false comparisons. Like it's not right. It's not true. And we can't compare because everyone is unique and we're all in different journeys and different seasons and different situations and different resources and all sorts of things, and also different gifts. And so we just really can't compare. And I think that's a big reason why we tend to forget our worthiness, but that's just one piece of the puzzle, right? I think for some other people, it can be really around, maybe there's just some healing and some releasing to do from childhood experiences or any experiences along your journey that may have made you doubt yourself or question yourself or undervalue your gifts and your magic and your strengths. And sometimes it takes someone else externally to reflect that back to you, to shine a light on your unique brilliance and your authentic magic, for you to start to see what other people see. Do you know what I think often? And I've certainly experienced this myself, but do you know what I think often is that I wish sometimes my clients would see what I see, and I wish that other people in my world would see what everyone else sees in them. And I think that's one of my biggest things of why I'm here. I wish that we could really, like, you could just see how brilliant you really are as a human, and to own all of the wonderful gifts and skills, your energy, your essence, your authenticity, all of the uniquenesses that you bring to the table. I wish people could really see those as other people see them. And I think that's the beauty of coaching. I think that's one of the gifts of coming into a really sacred one-to-one coaching space, is that your coach will see those and shine a light on them and highlight them and support you to see that as well, and support you to really see your value. And that's a big part of my one-to-one life coaching. And we weave that into the business coaching space as well from time to time where it's needed, which it so often is. But, you know, that's a big focus, because I think when we can come from that place of owning our worthiness, then my goodness, amazing, amazing things happen. So I guess I'm talking round in circles here, but I think so much of our unworthiness stories come from past experiences, beliefs. It comes from our mindsets and trying to work with our, or dial down our inner critic and our ego, and starting to really connect to our true selves, our authenticity, to see the gifts that we have, to value them, to own them, and to bring them forth even more, and to build the confidence, the belief, the worthiness as we're doing that. It's not about like rebuilding as such. It's really about just peeling back some of the layers or some of the things that take away from our sensations and our feeling of worthiness and wholeness and belief and confidence, so that we can let that shine out naturally. Yeah. Like, it's always within you. I believe that we're all worthy. It's an innate thing. And really, it's just about peeling off those layers and deconditioning and really just like owning and programming it, like strengthening those neural pathways of really beautiful positive self-talk, and building that beautiful loving relationship with your true self and with your intuition, and living and speaking and being from that place. So much of us live in our heads, and I love that quote by Tony Robbins, harsh but true: if you live in your head, you're dead. Because ultimately our mind is so good at deleting, augmenting, and distorting the truth, because it's not right. It's perception, and that's not real. And so really coming to a place of that loving, beautiful connection with your true self and living from that place is a really beautiful thing. Now, a couple of other things that I really wanted to speak to around specifically, so feeling worthy to go after your dreams in 2025. I think one of the biggest things is like deciding, what are those things that you really want? What is the big goal or the vision or the dream for you? And being really clear about this, because there's a difference between saying I want something because you think you want it, and maybe society's told you that you want those things, or it's just always been the vision or always been on the dream list. And so maybe you've always just put it down. But maybe things have changed for you. Maybe your priorities are slightly different. Maybe your values are even clearer now, or they're just tweaked slightly in this season, and the order of your values have shifted slightly. And so really just being intentional about, is this something that I truly want and I'm desiring for myself? And I like this idea of the push-pull theory, right? I often think about this for myself, and have conversations similar to this with some clients from time to time where needed. This idea of like, am I pushing myself to achieve this thing or to have that thing? Is it a push energy of like, I must have this thing or else I'm going to do this? And this is where like the overachiever in us can sometimes like be like, oh yeah, we love to be pushed and we love to be achieving and we love to be performing at a really high level. And so just like checking in with yourself around this, is it that push energy that's generally on the side of fear? If we were to say, is this coming from a place of love or fear? it's more from a place of love or lack and like, I need this thing. Or it's like, if I have these things, if I achieve this thing, then I'll be worthy. So I place conditions around our worthiness, which is another point that we need to highlight for worthiness. So is it like coming from that push place, or is it the pull energy? Is it like, I really desire this and I'm so excited by this, and this is going to happen. This is my reality. And I feel the pull towards it. Now there's a very different energy, right? It's completely different from the push energy. That's from a place of love. That's from a place of knowing this. That's from a place of worthiness. And that's a beautiful place to be. So I would just lovingly encourage you to inquire with yourself, just lovingly check in. Is this coming from a place of fear and pushing energy, or is this coming from a place of pull and love and like, yes, this is what I really want and desire, and I believe it's mine, and it is coming into fruition. I'm manifesting it, I'm creating it, and it's that loving pull energy of like, this is right, this is in alignment, etc. So push-pull energy is really, really great. So being super intentional about these things, right? It's the nuance. It's the really getting to the core of like, where is this coming from? And is this a true desire and goal for me? Or am I just, am I pushing myself or thinking I need this thing? So just being really, really discerning there. The other thing I really wanted to talk about was change and courage. Being okay with change. Gosh, we have a funny relationship with change, don't we, as humans? And I say this from personal experience as well, but also from so many client conversations over the years, is that, so much of the time we desire the change, like we want something to be different, or we want that next up level or that growth or whatever it might be. But that equally scares us because it's unknown, it's unfamiliar, it's scary to some extent. And so being okay with change, and being okay with the, feeling okay with like, right now my current reality isn't quite what I really want and desire right now, and just sitting in that uncomfortableness. Now that you know and have that self-awareness that you want more for yourself, that can be challenging in and of itself. But then also being okay with feeling the change as well as things are shifting and growing. And also, as one of those quotes I shared end of last year on one of our recent podcast episodes, is if you want something to be different, then you have to be different. If you want some change in your life, then things are going to have to change, right? It's like, if you've always done what you've always got, if you've always done what you've always done, then you'll always get what you've always gotten. And so if you want change, you have to start doing things differently and putting yourself in those new environments, or taking different action, or coming from a different energy or mindset, or, things take change, whether that's, a mindset or an internal shift or change, or an energy change, or literally an external things, an action, a habit, a behavior, a way of showing up, etc. So being okay with change. And then courage, and like, so many of these topics interlink and interwoven. And I love this part of my work. Hopefully you're following along with me and it all makes sense from your end. Holla if you want to have some more conversations about this and clarification. But, courage is a big part of it, to feel worthy, to go after your dreams, to live that beautiful big life that you want for yourself, whatever that looks like for you, because it's always going to be unique and different from others in slightly different ways, is having the courage to show up and take action, and to put yourself out there, and to say yes, and to be okay with the change, and to make the change, and to be the change. And it takes courage, and that's not necessarily, it's a little bit like confidence, right? It's not necessarily something that you're all born with, like, oh, I'm going to feel really courageous, or I'm a really confident person and I can do all these things. What I've found, and certainly my own experience and working with many other clients, is that this is something that we can build and get better at. It's like a muscle that you can flex and get stronger at the gym, right? The more you do it, the stronger you get, the better you get at it, and the easier it becomes, right? It's not necessarily always easy. If you think about it, working out at the gym, there'll be times where it's hard to get your butt to the gym, or to show up and to do the work, or to actually do the exercise and complete it. However, it's, so it doesn't always feel good, right? But however, it's building towards the thing that you want. And we never regret a workout afterwards, right? Like it's always supportive and benefiting us in some way. And I think that's the same with courage, regardless of the outcome of it or regardless of the specific result or the goal or whatever it is, that it's who you become in the pursuit of that goal that is the real thing that we want, right? So often we think we want that external thing, but actually it's about who we, the person that we become in pursuit of that thing. And so much of that is, building the courage and building the confidence and building that loving connection with yourself in pursuit of those goals and dreams along the way, right? It's so much of that stuff that is created on the internal as we're going for those more external things. So yeah, courage, confidence, worthiness, so much of this stuff is unpacking, deconditioning, especially around worthiness. And then so much of the confidence and the courage to go after those things and, put yourself out there and to take the scary action and to stretch and grow into that is your ability to flex that courage muscle, is your ability to put yourself in those uncomfortable situations, knowing that ultimately it's going to support you in the long run. And this is, it's that short-term quote unquote pain for the long-term gain. It's not the really so comfortable now versus deeply unfulfilling future, because we're staying in our squishy comfort zones. So choosing now the short-term discomfort of taking the action, of doing the work, of showing up for ourselves, of having those conversations, of being really honest, of letting go, releasing, building, etc., so that I have that long-term beautiful fulfillment that is to grow and to contribute and to be living fully in your most authentic self and sharing your gifts with the world. Oh, what a way to end. Maybe I just ended there. I feel like that sums it up. I feel like I've just been talking for ages, but I hope that all makes sense. So I'm going to listen to this one back because I think it's a goodie. And save this one. Send it to your friends and your family. Share it on your Instagram stories. I would love that so much. It's the way that we get this podcast out to more and more humans. And we need more of these conversations, I think. So once again, just to celebrating you and the magic and brilliance that you are. And if this has hit something for you, and if you know that you need to get into the coaching space and you want to do some of this work on yourself, then I would love to be that person and support you with it if it feels true and right for you. I think this is the gift that keeps on giving. It's like it's a little bit like travel, right? It's like the thing that you spend money on and invest into, but gives back in dividends for years and years and years to come, and you become richer for it. Beautiful. All right, my loves, have a beautiful rest of your day. Holla, send me a DM on Instagram if you've loved this. Send me a comment or pop a comment below if you're watching over on YouTube, and give it a thumbs up. Would love that so much. And here's to a beautiful, magnificent, wildly worthy 2025.